What is going on, everybody? Your man, Eric Wilson, Sports Arena, Monday night, 10 p.m., part of the NGBN TV family. And as you see, yes, I told y'all earlier today, the merch has been dropped. I already put it in the comments. I'm going to show it here for y'all tonight. Make sure you cop one of these. Let me know what you need. I can hook you up, man. But anyhow, thank you guys so much for joining us here tonight. It is free agency time in the NFL, and we've got so many people to talk about. Like, listen, we've seriously, when I tell you we got a laundry list, of players that have been moving and shaking, whether some have stayed, some have gone. But let me welcome in my man. He's a Sun Devil, Jerry. Pitchfork Lunch on ASU Sun Devil. My man, Mike Carrot-Tenuto's in the building.
Oh, yes.
Mike.
Sorry, I was, you'll appreciate this. I clicked on the Sports Arena link, and I literally sat there. I almost messaged you and said, where the hell are you? But then I looked down and saw the live show one. So I made it. But, hey, I'm just so excited because there's two more. Yes, it's the end of the Pac-12, but I got to get it in. Two more Pac-12 champs to the Sun Devil Trophy case. Wrestling. This is crazy, Eric. Real quick, they bookended it. They won they've won more than two, but they won the very first conference wrestling championship back in 1963, which we weren't around, which I told everybody we weren't around. But they also won 4 of the last 5 and just won the last Pac-12 champion and the men's swim and dive team Pac-12 champs back-to-back years. So
congratulations to congratulations to ASU. It ain't that school down there in Tucson which we'll talk about on the Sports Arena. You know what I mean?
There you go.
Anyhow, we got a special guest joining us here tonight. Yes. He chimes in from time to time, especially I think, he wanted to make his presence known because he knows the WNBA season is coming up, but we're going to get to that down the road. The halftime zone, Mr. Courtland Griffin is in the building. Good evening, sir. How are you? Your mic is muted, just let you know.
Hey, look, it's been a while. What's going on?
How you been, brother?
I'm good, man. Just got back from the combine last week, and now, we turn right around in the free agency. So it's NFL season is never over, right? Like at this point, it's year-round football. So
it pretty much is. We go from Super Bowl to the combine to the draft. Then, we kind of get maybe like 2 months before training camp starts, and it just runs all concurrent.
Then you right in the rookie mini camps and mandatory OTAs, and it's crazy around football.
Hey, I don't think we're going to have time to do any commercials tonight. So let's get right to it, gentlemen, because free agency, like I said, a laundry list of people. And I want to start, Mike, I'm sorry. I'm going to do it. I'm going to start here, Mike. I got to do it, Mike.
You should.
Oh, Saquon Barkley, baby. My man is coming home. Penn State did not go to Dallas, and I'm so happy.
You hear what I got to put up with, Courtland? You see what he?
Oh my gosh! Stop it! Stop it!
I compliment his team every now and then when it's fair. And Courtland, you watch the show. I have to remind Eric of this. Everybody was saying, "Oh, Philly's not the same" when they were 10-1. Who stuck up for him in the beginning of the season? Said they're running the damn ball. Like, I hate it, but who stuck up for him, Courtland? And then he's got to start hammering right away. But that's all right. I'll let you go, Eric, because I got something that's going to take away that smile.
I highly doubt it. Listen, you want me to stop smiling? Let me just go ahead and say this, and I'll do this probably tomorrow because I need a day to process. Last week, Jason Kelce announced his retirement, and then we find out today that my man, the defensive, Fletcher Cox.
Big Fletch, man.
Yeah, he gone.
Yep.
But you knew it was only listen, I will do my tribute to him, much like I did to Kelce at a later time. But let's talk about this. Saquon staying in the division and going to play for the Philadelphia Eagles. Courtland, as our guest, I got to ask you, man, when you saw the news hit today, give me your thoughts on this.
It was relief first because he didn't go to the Houston Texans. So I didn't have to deal with Saquon Barkley for, 2 games in a row for at least the next 4 years. So that's great. But then it was a lot of shock, right? It was almost like, okay, Saquon doesn't go to Dallas. He doesn't go to Houston. And then you hear like the rumors and the rumblings that maybe Baltimore is in the running and they don't take him. And then you see the Philadelphia Eagles could match, up to $12 million or go north of $12 million, and then the news comes literally 30 minutes it seems like as soon as free agency, the moratorium period started, that you see the news of Saquon Barkley signs or is expected to sign with the Philadelphia Eagles. I kind of felt like this was like a kind of a FU to the New York Giants, right? Like, you guys didn't want to pay me. This is the second time he's been up for a contract, and you guys didn't want to pay me, but the division rivals did, and now I get to beat up on you for the next 4 years, 2 times a year. So
yeah, we just gonna pencil 8 wins right there, because Saquon gonna run all over. Listen, he gonna be up for every New York Giants game. Say what you want, Mike, but tell me players don't do that. They mark on their calendar.
100%.
Oh, AJ Brown marked the Tennessee Titans on his calendar. I know he did.
Yeah,
and he let us know.
Yes.
Yeah, but okay. And look, they weren't going to give him the crazy money, and they do him a solid and trade AJ Brown. I mean, when saying that too, unfortunately, to that team and Eric's favorite team. But no, look, Saquon. I mean, we said everything we said on Wednesday, Eric. I mean, it's crazy because, like, yes, he was 30% of the Giants' offense, and Daniel Jones showed that with a guy like Saquon, you can win games. I mean, it's dominant. Like,
you can get your quarterback paid. That's what you can do. Yeah, with a guy like Saquon, you can get your quarterback paid.
Well, I mean, look, okay, it's to and people hear me. It's to a smaller extent, but it's like we've talked about before, Eric. It's the Aaron Donald effect. Like, not that guys that weren't playing next to Aaron Donald are good, because they've gone on and they've had solid careers. So they've had good numbers and they've played well and they've gotten paid, but they haven't had the same kind of output as when they were next to the man Aaron Donald. So look, the Giants' offensive line has been a mess, Eric. We've been talking about this since freaking Eli was there and Dodo McAdoo. I mean, Eli had I remember we talked about this, like 1.9 to like 2.2 seconds to throw the ball. And yet everybody was on Eli's case that he stinks. Didn't have a back like Saquon Barkley either at the end of his career. But you look, Philly paid him. It made sense. And my other, I mean, I know we'll get to it, but look, unfortunately, it does make sense. I figured he would end up in the division in Dallas, not in Philly, but I knew he wouldn't end up in Washington or with the Giants. So this really does suck. But I got to respond to somebody real quick, and then we got to bring our next guest in. I got to respond to somebody real quick. And see, this is what he does. He finds his way each and every time to start inserting little comments and jabs at me. Dom, I didn't hear Eric Wilson singing Saquon's praise. You know why, Dom? Because he went to the Giants and he's from Penn State. I'm not cheering for the Giants. Yeah.
Okay? That's why.
He doesn't cheer for Micah Parsons, and he didn't cheer for Sean Lee for a very long time.
No. I respect what they did, but make no mistake about it. If you don't play for Philly, I ain't cheering for you. I don't care that you went to – I got love for you because you went to our alma mater, but no, I'm not cheering for you. I respect what you do on the field, and if you happen to beat us when you play us, then so be it. But I will always sing the praises of a Penn State athlete. Mm-hmm. Now, when they go somewhere else, I ain't going to say much about them, but I keep an eye on them. And when the opportunity hits – for them to come on home, oh, yes, sir. Yes, sir. I'm hitting it. So Dom, as always, watch your lips, as my man Avery Graves would say.
I will say this to Dom, too, real quick, because when the Giants did draft him, we were watching, and we both said the Giants just got the best player in the draft. I get defensive line tackles. The Giants got the most effective, best player in the draft, who became, like Portland was saying, and we've been saying, 33% of their offense.
Yeah. Let me get my man touring the AFC South Zone, Mr. Mike Patton's in the building with us. Good evening, sir. Appreciate you joining in.
Mike.
What's going on? What's going on, y'all?
Yeah.
Hey, man, really quick before we move on.
Don't you dare say it. If you say
anything
about a pack, if he says anything about a pack, trouble, Eric.
I'm not going to say anything. I'm just going to be
I'm looking
around here at all these non-contract offers that the Dallas Cowboys are making.
Oh, here we go.
Hey, Mike, really quick. Let me get your thoughts, Mr. Patton, on this before we move to our next gentleman. What are your thoughts on Saquon to Philadelphia?
He's going to rush for 1,600 yards next year.
Yeah. Mike, I love Mike. Easily. Mike, your invitation to the VIP cookout is in the mail, brother. Come on with it. Yes, sir. Preach. Go ahead.
I mean, I mean, look at what he did with a line that was just basically pretty trash. He basically made it work great, and they were doing all these different things with him. Imagine him with an offense with all these weapons, with an actually good offensive line. He's not going to have to do all these different cuts and reversing field and all of that. No, he's not going to do all that. Just hit the hole, one cut, and go.
There you go.
All you got to do.
Talking about. Thank you, Mike Patton. I love it. Touring the AFC South. All right, listen, we're gonna move right on to the next gentleman. And listen, again, so many people we could talk to, but hey, ASU Pitchfork Sun Devil Jerry, I love you, but we got to ask this question, and I think I know why. But Tony Pollard, since I got two AFC South guys in the building, Tony Pollard to the Titans.
I can tell why, but hey.
Okay, well, I'm gonna get to you in a minute.
Okay.
But I gotta talk to my Cowboy brother for a minute. So AFC South fellas, bear with me really quick. Mike, dog, Friday, when me and you and the Queen of Hoop, Megan, were talking about this, it lined up perfectly for Tony to not have to be that back.
Yep.
Because the grumblings are still out there of King Henry possibly coming to Dallas.
Right.
But now he's going to Tennessee. Mike, what's up, man?
I mean, look, look, I'm not going to rip Tony Pollard. Like I said, the healthier he got, the better he looked like the previous Tony Pollard when Zeke was there. That explosion, that extra you get out of the backfield. Tennessee has that. But Tennessee also has another back like that. Like, he was a rookie, but I don't get it. But that's the part I don't get. Now, he's not going to be, and we know the second-year backy is always you see, like, from any, big injury, but the second-year back, and again, he started to kind of grow into that role at the end of the season, or not grow into it, but just have that production, I mean, towards the second half of the season. But, I mean, when you think about it, too, I saw this, and I thought about it, too, about the running backs that Mike McCarthy had in Green Bay, and they're bigger power backs. So yeah, you don't land Saquon. He gets the $37 million from the Eagles. Now, yeah, I mean, Derrick Henry is out there, but Josh Jacobs now signs with the Packers, and they release a beast in Aaron Jones, who, I mean, of course, there are reports, like we always say, the question came out there. So that a big power back is something that Mike McCarthy wants, and with the passing game that can be, it's huge. But Tony Pollard, look, yeah, thanks, Tajay Spears. But like, I think Pollard's a better receiver out of the backfield than Spears, and we saw that, Eric. We've seen it over his career. But the thing is, he's not, in my opinion. And look, I love them in Dallas, and I said to John, less is more, especially with Pollard. You need you need a back that can take a few series, might go first and second down. Every now and then may go first, second, third down if it's third and short. Pollard's skill set is awesome. And and you've seen it. He's a matchup nightmare in that for any slot corner or linebacker, he's a matchup nightmare.
All right. I'm going to come back to you because I got a question I want to ask you, but let me get my brothers, AFC South, Tennessee Titan guys in here. Cortland, Mike, talk to me about Tony Pollard now coming to y'all's squad, what this means. I'm gonna let the two of you take the floor and run with this one, man.
Cortland, you want me to go first, or you want to go first?
You can go first, Mike.
All right. This is what I see. I mean, you bring it in two backs. They are, and Mike is correct. They are very similar backs. Why would you get two backs that are the same? Here's why. Because if you're looking at the Titans' offense last year, when Derrick Henry was in the game, you were running the football. Tajay Spears was in the game, knew there was a very good chance they're going to pass the football. But, of course, they did sprinkle some runs in there with Spears and do a few things where he took over series and, ran the football too. But now you have two similar backs. They can basically go in the game. You don't have to change the offense. You can use one as a receiver. They both can play wide receiver in some aspects. They both can run the football between the tackles at times. They both can hit that edge too. And they both have some jets. So essentially your offense doesn't change when one of these backs is out of the game. Or you can put both these backs in at the same time, like they were doing last year with Derrick Henry and Spears, and basically, do a few things there. So the possibilities are kind of limitless, and you can also create matchup nightmares with these two. And of course, we can't forget that Pollard did play wide receiver at the University of Memphis. So that comes into play too.
I just want to say this first and foremost, man. Shout out to the Tennessee Titans having an analytics department, and a legitimate analytics department, because this is where that lands. Like, this is one of those analytics departments moves. You look at Tony Pollard and you say, well, they do the same things, right? Tyjae Spears and by the football logic over umbrella, yes, they are very similar backs. But if you look at Tony Pollard, only 2 running backs had more yards after contact than him last year. Like, and one of those was the guy that you just let walk out the door. So when you look at that, and then you look at his elusiveness, you look at his ability to create mismatches in the passing game and the running game, right? It kind of gives credence to what he's going to be for the Tennessee Titans. And then you look at Tyjae Spears. Tyjae Spears was one of the most elusive running backs in the league last year. He had 24%. He was third in the league last year in elusiveness because he forced a missed tackle or a broken tackle on almost 24% of his carries. So you look at that with his ability to line up outside in the slide, line up outside the numbers and catch screen passes and little outlets and things of that nature and create that way. You now have a Brian Callahan offense that's going to be more wide open, more dynamic, and you're going to have defenses that have to stay honest, because you can't load the box with 9 men. You can't load the box and bring a safety down with 10 men in the box, right? And then just hope that Derrick Henry doesn't pop one on you. Now you have to look at, you got 2 guys that can take the top off of defense running the ball, and then they also create mismatches with your linebackers. So this was a great Brian Callahan analytics move by Ran Carthon. And let's talk about this. We still don't know what the guarantees is, but from what I'm hearing, the guarantees for Tony Pollard is a heavily incentivized contract, and it could be anywhere between $4.5 and $5.2 million, which is cheap money when you're talking about having 2 running backs on the backfield.
Yeah, no, and I'm glad you brought up not only the analytic, but I wanted to get to the money. Let me get Mike and Mike back in here, because here's my question, Kara Tenuto, that I wanted to ask you really quick. So you were talking about the fact that Aaron Jones is no longer in Green Bay, and he is the type of back that would be serviceable to Dallas, so much so that this is a guy who every time he's played Dallas has had monster numbers in the run game. So, Mike, I want to ask you a question, and I'm going to give you 10 seconds to think about it, because I'm going to do a quick 10-second break. Here is my question to you, sir. All right? You can only pick one. Would you take King Henry, or, knowing what Aaron Jones has done to your team and what he could be for your team, you got 10 seconds to think about it. I'm coming back to you, and I want to answer. Derrick Henry or Aaron Jones?
That is a great question, and it's tough when it comes from a guy so classy and awesome like Eric. But he's an Eagles fan. I hate when he does that. Anyway, all kidding aside, look, they're both money, but I'm going. Come on. I mean, look, Aaron Jones, yes, has had games, and again, behind an offensive line, Dallas, again, Tyron Smith, most likely not going to be back, which is definitely a bummer, but how they've drafted, I mean, with Tyler Smith, obviously Zach Martin coming back, Biotish now gone, but they're line-wise, they've had depth. I would go with King Henry. I want to punish dudes. I want to punish these linemen. I mean, you don't have to worry about, thank goodness, Fletcher Cox, but the Giants getting Burns, that is huge. I mean, with Kayvon Thibodeau, with Wilkinson, that's freaking huge. But I want King Henry. Give him the ball, let him smash dudes. Yeah, he can still throw that stiff arm. I want to see DBs, and both Cortland and Mike know this. I want to see even linebackers. I want to see linebackers and DBs travel 5-7 yards in the air. Go ahead, come up to King Henry and take that arm and eat it for lunch and enjoy the turf.
Hey,
all right. So this one, shout out to our man Troy from the Gary Stein and Stevens show, coming in saying the Bengals are releasing Joe Mixon.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think he's going to be a good fit for you guys in Tennessee? Let me ask you guys that question. Do you think you might be able to get him on the cheap?
Go ahead, I guess I'll take this one first. He was one of the guys that I thought before the Tony Pollard signing that I thought would end up in Tennessee. I still think he might end up in Tennessee. I don't see Tennessee just rolling into the regular season with just Tony Pollard and Tyler as their primary 1 and 2 guys. If you look at the Bengals last year, they had 3 backs. It was in the form of Travion Williams, Joe Mixon, and I can't remember the other kid's name. But then the season before that, they had Samaje Perine, Travion, and Joe Mixon. So, and they used those guys in a myriad of ways to create mismatches in different situations. The only issue that I see is that I think Tennessee is okay with having Pollard and Tajay as the main two, and that they might go a cheaper option like in the draft in the late rounds, mid to late rounds, to get a running back, because you have a team like the Baltimore Ravens that need a running back still. You have teams like the Cowboys that are sitting on, like, I think $2.5 million, I think, and I might be stretching it even then for cap space. So they might be, in that Joe Mixon market. So you're looking at those squads because the Bengals just signed Zach Moss. So, I mean, and then Green Bay, I know they got Josh Jacobs, but the Raiders are also needing a running back now. So Joe Mixon can end up there as well. So there's a lot of options for Joe Mixon to go and take an opportunity, but Tennessee is not out of the question, I don't think.
Well, Cortland, Dallas freed up
Yeah, I
$13
don't see
million
it
because they
Tennessee,
restructured with Zach
Okay.
Martin. So
Okay.
they freed up $13 million at this point. If they release Michael Gallup, I think it'll be another $3 to $4 million. So
Okay, I didn't catch that one. So yeah. So I mean, so he's definitely an option then.
All right, 10
Can I
seconds.
throw,
Mike Patton. Yeah, I'm going to give you the final word. Then we're going to switch over to quarterbacks. Go ahead, sir.
Okay, yeah, I definitely don't see him here. I definitely see them going with the younger back for like a rookie or something like that.
Okay, fair enough. Let's switch over to quarterbacks because the name that everybody talked about, because it happened last night, first thing this morning, we found out Russ is now in Pittsburgh. You shaking your head already, Cortland? Like what? So I'm gonna come to you, sir. What's the problem with this?
My issue with this move is not so much as what the plan for it is, it's the expectation that's going to come with it. Right? If you're Mike Tomlin, you just won 10 games again last year with a winning, you finished with a winning record, but you didn't make, I think they made the playoffs and got put out early, or I could be wrong.
First round.
Right.
Yep.
So you're looking at now the issue that a lot of Pittsburgh fans and a lot of Pittsburgh media had was, well, Kenny, you had a bad quarterback, so you can't really blame Tomlin. You blame Kenny Pickett. Well, now you've got Russell Wilson, a guy with Super Bowl DNA, a guy with playoff experience. He's a veteran quarterback. And the issue with Russell Wilson in the last couple of years has been, well, Denver was a bad team. They didn't have a team around him. Jerry Jeudy wasn't that great. Cortland Sutton was injured all the time. This, that, and the third, so on and so forth. We've all heard it, right? Now you're going to Pittsburgh with one of the better coaches in the NFL, with Arthur Smith, an assistant that you're familiar with because he's going to run a lot of play action, right? And you got George Pickens, and you've got all of these weapons around you, Najee Harris and those guys. I think the expectation is going to be playoffs and at least a playoff win. The problem that I have is that, and the fact that if you're a Pittsburgh, do you draft a quarterback to groom him because he's only on a 1-year deal? This is not a multi-year deal for Russell Wilson. So do you go and draft a quarterback and maybe groom that young quarterback for a year up under him, maybe a Michael Penix or other, right? I have them mocked with Devin Leary. I think Leary is going to be okay in the league from out of Kentucky, and I think he has a lot of what Russell Wilson has, and I think he would be perfect to line up under Russell Wilson. But again, we don't know where Pittsburgh goes from here.
Okay, fair enough. Really quick, I want to get everybody's answer to this question to my man Troy. Aaron Jones has narrowed it down to either Minnesota Vikings, so within the division, or going to Dallas. Real quick, gentlemen, who do you think he goes to? Aaron Jones, Dallas or Minnesota? Mike Caratenuto.
I think I say Minnesota. I think he definitely wants to stick it to Green Bay. I say Minnesota.
All right. Mike Patton?
If he's a smart man, he goes to Dallas because Minnesota might end up with Sam Darnold or something like that at quarterback.
Cortland?
The Star. It's easy. The Star.
As much as it pains me to say it, I don't want to see Aaron Jones thrive in Dallas, but I have to agree. I think it's going to be Dallas. I really do. But, Mike, give me your thoughts, Caratenuto, on Russ Wilson. My brother going now to the Pittsburgh to play under Mike Tomlin. And, again, everybody was talking about there was a missing piece to the Pittsburgh Steelers last year, and it was, in fact, the quarterback position. That's not throwing shade at Kenny Pickett, or Mason Rudolph or Mitch Trubisky, but it's bringing in, as Cortland had said, maybe a better pedigree of a quarterback into a Mike Tomlin system. Carrots Nudo, what do you say?
Yeah, man. I mean, and Mike Tomlin's not going to put up with the diva crap. So I think, and again, I'm not saying Russell Wilson's a full diva. I mean, everything with Nathaniel Hackett in Denver, that's in the past. But look, I mean, when I heard it last night, and I was driving home and I was like, oh, wow. I'm like, yeah, people in Pittsburgh aren't going to be thrilled. A lot of them are in bed. I'm sure they're going to be annoyed. And the fact they don't have to pay him $1.2 million because the Broncos are paying $37.8 million. So the Broncos are paying him $37 million to play in the AFC and, ruin their chances to get to the playoffs. So, that's the insane part to it, right? But look, I mean, it's going to be a competition. There's no way from what everybody we're saying about Mike Tomlin, what we've always said about Mike Tomlin, there's no way it's not going to be competition. I mean, Kenny Pickett, got banged up. He struggled, a little bit before the injury. Then he got banged up, and there was a whole junk about, he said he didn't want to be a backup. Look, I'm not going with that. If he did say it, then he's crazy. But it's going to be a competition. And for $1.2 million, which, again, I know, send it to all of us, like I always say, Eric, it's chump change compared to obviously what you'd sign a quarterback for. So, look, if he can do it, I mean, and Pickens is looking to benefit the most, because I will say this. Russell Wilson doesn't have an issue still with his deep ball. he's still getting that ball downfield, and with a guy like Pickens on the outside, Deontay Johnson, and if they continue to run the ball, I mean, they were pretty much the most balanced team in the NFL last year. And people would say quarterback injuries were why. No, Pittsburgh's always balanced. They're going to be physical. They're going to beat you up in the trenches. And a running game like that could definitely help Russell Wilson. So, look, it's going to be a competition. Mike Tomlin's going to say it. I don't think he guaranteed him. And, if you know what, if he becomes a diva, Eric, it's not going to be a shock if they waive him. I mean, $1.2 million. So, okay, bye. Have a good day.
Right.
See you.
No, you're right. Mr. Patton, though, when you look at this, take the other quarterbacks just in that division alone. Lamar Jackson, MVP. Joe Burrow, Super Bowl, made it to the Super Bowl. Whether it be Deshaun Watson or whomever they have at quarterback is going to definitely keep this Cleveland team, quote unquote, shout out to our brother Alex Fleming, relevant. Now you throw in Russell Wilson to the Steelers. How does he fare knowing what he's going up against within the division alone?
Well, honestly, I mean, how quickly you forget when the NFC West was one of the toughest divisions in the NFL. So he's had this type of competition before with the Rams and the Cardinals and the 49ers. So, yeah. So I think he'll fare just fine. He'll still be Russ. He's still going to do his thing. And then also another thing to throw in there, when you see Kenny Smallhands wasn't necessarily the most accurate last year at times. So in this, with throwing Russ in there, Russ, definitely a more accurate quarterback and a more seasoned quarterback. So I would say with a little bit more accuracy added at the quarterback position, he's going to fare just fine, and so will the Pittsburgh Steelers.
My brother Cortland, what I heard today throughout some of the media pundits was the difference between Kenny Pickett and Russell Wilson is Russ can still throw that deep ball. He can still throw that rainbow if need be. How do you think this year is going to fare with him? Because Mike Caratanudo said, George Pickens is going to be the one to really benefit from this due to the fact that he knows he can take the top off if necessary. And the one thing we know about the Pittsburgh Steelers is they breed wide receivers. So do you think this benefits Russ more, or do you think it benefits his complementary pieces surrounding him?
I think it benefits the complementary pieces surrounding him. Pickens was very disgruntled last year because he couldn't get the ball, right? There was a couple of plays I know for a fact. I think it was against the Cleveland Browns. George Pickens is streaking across the field on a shallow dig, shallow cross, and Kenny Pickett completely misses him. I mean, completely misses him. So those are the plays that Russell Wilson will make routinely. The deep ball that George Pickens catches so well, those are going to be routine plays for Russell Wilson. So I think they're definitely going to benefit. He's definitely going to benefit. And then you look at Najee Harris, and I can't think of the other young man's name that's in the backfield with Najee. But when you look at those two and how the threat of a Russell Wilson is going to make teams have to play and be honest. Now you're going to start opening up more holes and more running lanes for those guys. And then you can also utilize Najee Harris's skill set as a pass catcher because he can catch the ball very well for a bigger back. He's going to, Russell Wilson is known to take the check down and take those dink and dunk, before he throws that rainbow that, that he's known so known for. So definitely, I think, and Pat Freiermuth as well, right? The tight end, Pat Freiermuth, and Darnell, I can't think of his name.
Darnell Washington.
Darnell Washington. Those two guys are going to benefit very well too, because the one thing Russ does very well is utilizes his tight ends.
And the other running back that you were speaking of is Jalen Warren.
Jalen Warren. Yeah.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
a
little bitty guy.
Benefit. And like I said, a young quarterback, if Pittsburgh is smart, take a young quarterback in the draft and let them learn up under Russ, and then, for a year, and then see what you have next year.
All right, gentlemen, we're going to keep it moving here. So, Mike, you know where I'm going. The big guard's best friend. You say I'm the president of his fan club. He is now getting closer and closer to me. Unfortunately, he's in the dirty South. But the man on your screen right there at the bottom left.
He's coming to
is
the
now
barbecue
going
with me, baby. He's my +1 at the
PF
barbecue.
chains for everybody.
Hey, Mike, I thought he was going to Magic City, man, not the
Kirko
barbecue.
Frost.
He's probably going to get them lemon pepper wings. That's what he's doing. That's exactly what he's doing, man. But let me ask this question. With and listen, y'all know me. I am not a fan of this man, so very rarely do I say his name. But for the purposes of this conversation, and because we have guests on the show, even though y'all are brothers and family,
Don't make Big Guard
Kirk
come
Cousins. He a lot closer, Mike. 8 hours. Ain't that
I'm just
long.
saying, don't make Big Guard come at you.
No, please. He could pull up. Big Guard know where to find me. I ain't hard. What do I always say? I ain't a hard man to find. Kirk Cousins coming to Atlanta.
Right.
Okay. We saw the deal that Baker Mayfield got, 3 years, $100 million. But with Kirk Cousins now in Atlanta, are the Falcons the top team in arguably the worst division in the NFC South?
I mean, look, if they can run the ball, I mean, if you're asking me, I mean, you get Bijan Robinson, you still have Algiers. Look, Drake London needs to be more hold on to the ball a little bit more. Kyle Pitts too. Yes, there's only one ball to go around, but we saw what Bijan Robinson can do. And then everybody that, yes, you get a running back on obviously a rookie deal. He was a number 7 pick, as we all know. But look, Kirk Cousins there makes sense, man. You have targets. Kyle Pitts needs to, I mean, he was that receiver in his draft. And yeah, I mean, okay, so you're going to say Desmond Ridder grow out. The only thing I will say that I know will make you lean a little bit is I think that Desmond Ridder in calling in with an offense and having and a running game, I think Desmond Ridder would be really good. But yes, in a win now league, maybe Desmond Ridder's a year away. And I mean, I know Cortland and Mike are down there. Maybe you see it different. But I mean, Desmond, and yes, college to pro is a big step. But this is a kid that got more of the offense. And when you can run the ball more, because look, as much as you ripped on Kirk Cousins, when Dalvin Cook was there, I mean, we talked about Dalvin Cook in Minnesota and the Flowers. And last year, look, that was the biggest difference to me. So when we say, like the whole Aaron Jones question, it ties into this. Like, Kirk Cousins is a good quarterback. Kirk Cousins is going to get the ball down the field. But if you can run it and you have that run game, you have 2 running backs that can be 1,000-yard back. I mean, 2,000-yard backs, because Algiers was that the year before Bijan Robinson got there. And Bijan Robinson's a freak.
Yeah.
Will it make it easier for your boy Kirk Cousins? I mean, again, it's the NFL.
Not
so it's not
my
easy.
Boy.
It's I know. I say that in a joking way.
Right?
You're yes,
not my boy.
You're
so
fake.
really quick, we got this from my man Abe Stanley. Some of the Falcon fans
like he's
are
gonna
mad,
push
but
the ball down the field.
this is the one that I want right here. Kirk, I've always said this. We need his agent, okay? Because this man continually be getting money.
He bet on himself, man. And
that man
look,
has not signed anything that's not fully guaranteed since he left Washington.
right. He got the back-to-back tag years, and he bet on himself, and he didn't, like, for him, good for him. I mean, granted, I can't send him with Washington, but he didn't get injured. We talked about this. He bet on himself. He goes to Minnesota and only takes a 3-year deal. That's the difference. 3 years, $84 million. You got it all guaranteed. If they were going to cut him, it wouldn't have been until after the 2nd year anyway. So that's the cap. That's the $20-some-odd million cap hit right there. But my point is, it was only a 3-year deal, signing shorter. So yes, everybody says that. I agree, because they were talking. I heard it on PTI today when I was flipping through the channels. I mean, he's coming up with this contract now. At the end of it, if he plays the 4 years there, or he plays 3, he's coming up on like $330 million made. The only agent who's better, and I've said this a million times, and look, not that he wasn't talented, but he was never healthy after like his first season, Eric, and that was Sam Bradford. He came out, he was banged up coming out of Oklahoma, before they restructured the slotting and everything.
That's before they did the rookie pay scale.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
He knew it.
Yeah, the $50 million man. And what did he do?
He got $52 million, and then he went to, he was with the Rams, and then he goes to the Eagles, and he gets huge
Then he goes to Minnesota.
Then he gets to Minnesota. Then he even signs one last contract where he played 10 to 11, 12 games here in Arizona. Look, not that he couldn't play NFL quarterback, he couldn't stay healthy. His agent is in the Hall of Fame. Kirk Cousins had the injury last year, and Eric, like Big Guard always says, I mean, you look at the numbers. His numbers over his span in Minnesota puts him in a top 10 quarterback conversation.
I'm not disagreeing.
I'm not
with
saying
it.
talent-wise.
Everybody knows how I feel about Kirk.
I know. But I'm just saying, like, if Atlanta runs the ball and tweaks a little bit, look, I mean, defensively, they're going to have to make some stops because I think, and Cortland and Mike are down there. I watched Bijan Robinson last year when I could, but I think their defense got worse as the season went on too. So their defense.
Really quick, Mike. Let's show everybody what his breakdown looks like. So for those watching, let me go ahead and pull this up. This is the breakdown of Kirk Cousins. Okay, in 2012, standard 4-year rookie deal. 2016, fully guaranteed 19.9. 2017, 23.9. 2018, 84 million. 2020, 66 million. 2022, 35 million. And now 2024, 150 million, 100 million fully guaranteed. And one playoff win. One.
That's right.
Crazy.
We need his agent. That's what I'm saying.
I agree.
The man got 329 million.
Right.
But I said
Go ahead,
this.
Cortland. Go
I
ahead.
said this earlier, man. In a Twitter space, we were talking about this deal. This deal only is acceptable for me, right? The money, I get it. Get your money. Ain't nobody, telling that man not to get his money. This bill only works for me if this scenario is what it is, that you structured this deal to where you can restructure it and turn that into some sort of signing bonus, like turn it into cash over time. Because the issue that I have with this is he's a 36-year-old quarterback coming off an Achilles injury,
Right.
and that does take some oomph off of those passes. It does, and that recovery is not a short recovery. I don't like, even that as a young man, right? If you tear your Achilles, right, that's a long recovery time. So at 36 years old, he's a
right. But I mean, it happened in week 8, though, and I know you know that, Cortland. But I mean, and again, I agree. I don't think, and I will say this real quick before you go on. I think the first half of the season, Atlanta's going to be having to run the ball a lot more because of that. But yes, go on.
Right. But so, like, yes, does he have more weapons or more of a plethora of weapons in Atlanta than he did in Minnesota?
Well,
yes.
You don't have Justin Jefferson, though.
No, he don't have Justin Jefferson, but you got Drake London, you got Kyle Pitts, you got Bijan and Tyler Algier, right? And they're probably going to add another receiver in the draft, right? Or in free agency.
They're all young, though. I mean,
right,
correct me if I'm wrong. They all young, right?
Talented.
So now you got the Wally vet coming in. Again, I go back and say, in a division that has been not the greatest.
Right.
I'll be PC for this one. Where a team could win 8 wins or 9 wins and be the top dog within that division. Now you've got Cousins coming in who is being able to mentor, possibly. He's going to lead this team. Call it what it is.
Right.
You got to face Tampa, Carolina, and New Orleans twice a year. I'm telling you right now, if the Atlanta Falcons go any less than 5-1 in the division, something happened.
Oh, here's the thing, though. the team that nobody saw coming won the division last year.
We all knew Tampa was going to win that division. Cut it out, Cortland.
No one.
Yes,
no
we
one
did.
had. No one had.
Okay.
Come on.
Cortland.
I picked the Saints. I picked the Saints.
Come on.
Baker Mayfield.
I actually picked the
Chris
Falcons to win that
Godwin,
division.
Mike Evans, Cade Otton, and then a Todd Bowles defense.
Eric, you were by yourself on that one. And
I picked the Saints last year, Eric.
I picked the Falcons.
My dog, but you was by yourself on that one because everybody knew the Saints. Everybody had the Saints and the Falcons.
Why? Because of Derek Carr?
Division.
Why? Because of Derek Carr?
Yes.
The defense and the Saints defense. What
And
they
they
had
were the
the
most.
most.
Hold on, and they were the
Nobody
most.
believed in Baker.
Hold on,
And
they
that
were
was
and
a lot
that
of-
too, and they were the most. The Saints going into on paper were the most complete team.
All
in that
right,
division.
I'm gonna let y'all talk that one because I'm
But-
gonna let y'all talk this one out because I'm gonna go find our stats and see if I was right or wrong on this one. But please,
That's fair.
y'all go ahead while I do my analytical job on my
That's
side.
fair. But my thing is like I said, to me, until I see what the Atlanta Falcons look like as the season goes along, I have to ride with the team that won it last year because the Saints are a dumpster fire, right? It is. Derek Carr is not what they thought it was going to be, right? Kamara was had still knick-knacky injuries and didn't produce like he thought that they thought
Oh, he was
would.
suspended the first 3 games too, right?
Right.
Yeah,
And
that's
then Michael Thomas is now gone, right? Because he's being released, or they're expected to release him. So now you're going to have to replenish that wide receiver room because Chris Olave, right, is now going to be your number 1, and he was inconsistent last year. So, and that defense has been inconsistent. Offensive line is inconsistent. Then I look at Atlanta.
The defense was inconsistent last year because previous to last year, that was the thing that I thought would make them win the division anyway, was because they had the defense. I thought Carr would be the guy to spread the ball. I mean, could spread the ball around, but they could still, even when Kamara came back, they could still run the ball.
Hey,
Right,
Mike,
so
hold on real quick. Mike, hold on real quick. I gotta do this, man. Cortland, I apologize. I was wrong. I only gave the Bucs 7 wins. I went back and I looked. I gave the Saints 9 wins. So I admit I did my analytics. I was wrong.
Nobody saw
the Bucs.
So
you gave the
I
Bucs,
definitely
you
didn't
gave
see
the
the
Bucs
coming.
9 wins. You gave the Saints 11 wins.
11, yeah.
So again, like I'm looking at it, and I'm not saying that on paper right now with a healthy Kirk Cousins, that Atlanta is not by far the most talented team in this division. But I have to look at the team that has a Super Bowl appearance, right? Guys who have playoff experience, and a team that I'm sorry, Eric, beat the Eagles, who nobody thought they were going to beat in a playoff.
Come on, Mal. Stevie Wonder, Ray Charles, and everybody knew Philly was not winning that game, man. I went to that game because I was like on a wish and a prayer. But
I'm just
trust
saying,
me, by
Eric,
the second
I saw a lot of
quarter,
people had y'all favorite too. So again,
I did. Listen, I listen. You bleed me, I'm gonna bleed green. Okay. But even I had to admit to myself, to my core, we wasn't winning that game. And you don't lose 5 of the last 6, and then all of a sudden kick it into high gear when you get to Monday night in Tampa. Come on, now, cut it.
And then I'm
But
gonna say this too, and I'm gonna drop it. I'm gonna drop the mic here. We have to talk about continuity. We know continuity matters. We know consistency matters. Baker is now going into his second season with this wide receiving core and those weapons, right? He's going into his second season with the Buccaneers. Kirk Cousins is now coming off an injury and has to get a rhythm with these young players. So we know normally quarterbacks, even if they are veterans, going into a new system with and then adding an injury on top of that and recovery and rehab on top of that, it's going to get ugly before it gets beautiful in Atlanta. I still think that the Buccaneers have to be your favorite until we see what the season shakes out to be.
okay. All right. Mike Patton, please talk to me about this Atlanta Kirk Cousins situation, sir.
Well, honestly, it's going to be a team that kind of mimics a little bit what the Los Angeles Rams do offensively because, of course, Zach Robinson is the offensive coordinator. So definitely going to depend on the running game. And then I would say more play action passing with a little bit of Kyle Pitts thrown in there. So I think Kyle Pitts is going to be used more like Tyler Higbee, if not a little more in terms of the athleticism, kind of spread him out a little more, things like that too. So I definitely see Kyle Pitts having a bigger season this year than probably he's had in his entire career. So I would say that's going to be, an effect in the running game. However, the biggest thing that Atlanta's missing is not on offense. It's on defense. They still don't have a guy that you can name and say, hey, go get me 10 sacks. They don't have that guy, especially off the edge. So until they get that, I can't depict them to win the division. And I was wrong to pick them last year to win the division.
Okay, that's fair. That is truly fair enough. Listen, we got maybe 1 or 2 more guys to get to here tonight. And again, thank you to the halftime show's own Cortland Griffin and touring the AFC South's Mike Patton for joining myself and Mr. Caratenuto right here on the NGBN TV network, the Sports Arena. So let's talk about a guy who I was very surprised when I saw this one, but it leaves the door open for a gentleman who we spoke of earlier to maybe make his mark in Baltimore. Gus Edwards is now a Los Angeles Charger, and then found out along with that, Austin Eckler
is a commander.
has now.
Wow.
Somebody please help me out. Where did he go?
Right with the Commanders.
He went to the space station. He went to the space station.
He went to the Commodores. Now the Commodores got Austin Eckler and Zach Ertz. Come on,
Yep.
now I'm mad.
And they ain't
Now
done.
I'm really mad.
And Tyler Biotish and Dorrance Armstrong. Yeah,
I know, Mike. I know you ain't happy. I know.
And they
They're
got
probably
Frank.
gonna
They
pick up
also-
one.
they
They're
also
probably gonna get one of these safeties too. That's out there.
So
Probably
then
gonna
my
be one of the
question
safeties.
becomes:
Yeah.
with Gus the Bus now in LA, Derrick Henry, possibly in Baltimore. No.
They actually are.
From the
They
Dallas.
actually are talking per Josina Anderson. They actually are negotiations. So
Yeah.
we
Okay.
can hear that probably by midnight or first thing in the morning.
But
That
I
he's
think
signing with the Ravens.
I ain't gonna lie to you, Mike. I love Josina. Josina, if you're watching this, you my dog. But I think if that star come, because honestly, if the star come calling,
Oh, we know Jerry got the pockets
I've
for
got-
it.
just
Yeah,
bought
yeah.
another house down there. He just bought another house down there.
Yep.
While I
Thank you. I was
understand
about
that,
to say that.
there's actually I actually found out I was listening today. Had a lot of time to watch a lot of the free agency talk today, and the Dallas Cowboys haven't actually contacted him.
What?
Yeah,
Jerry
they
Jones
haven't
crazy.
actually contacted him.
Jerry
So,
Jones.
it's the Baltimore Ravens right
somebody
now.
Call Jerry.
And Jerry hasn't.
Mike,
picked
you
up-
got his number. Carrots Noodle, hit him up. Tell him. Tell
hey,
your boy.
hey, Mike. Somebody go knock on Jerry's door and check on that man because he's got to be in a
Get
car.
through
I don't
security.
believe that. I don't
Just-
believe
just
that. They
put
said there
down
was
the
interest.
gears.
I don't
Okay.
believe that. I'm not saying
Okay.
people aren't doing their jobs, Mike.
We
But
must have
come
left
on.
Jerry and Indy in the booth in Lucas Oil because ain't no way they ain't contacted that man.
Yeah, I don't.
He's
Look, and the
talking with
fact-
Baltimore, and the Cowboys have not picked up the phone.
Man, as long as it's not Houston, man, that's all I want.
Yeah, as long as well, look, they're probably seeing what Baltimore's offering, and they're gonna. This is like Cortland said, the star's gonna come in, and everything will be right, and then Eric can have Saquon, and then we can, since Fletcher Cox isn't up the middle, Derrick Henry can just go,
Let
bam.
me say this too, though, Mike. Let me say this too. We have to remember none of these deals are official until Wednesday at 4 p.m.
Right.
So
No, of
yes,
course,
Derrick
of
Henry
course.
can agree to terms with the Baltimore Ravens, and at the 11th hour,
Yes.
Dallas can come pick up the phone and be like, "Hey, bro, we got $12.5 million for you. What's up?"
Right.
Right.
Right. Which would go to because Mike said, and actually, Mr. Patton and Mr. Griffin, let me ask you this question. Because I asked Mike and I asked the Queen of Hoop, Megan Price, this question. What would be the offer to Derrick Henry to come to the Star? Now, Mr. Caratanudo over here said 2 years, 27. Megan said 225. What do you gentlemen feel would be the offer to get him to go from Tennessee and live in a state tax-free state in Dallas, in Texas? Let me ask y'all, what would the offer on the table need to be for Derrick Henry to put pen to paper?
I'm gonna go 3 years, $38 million, and at least 28 guaranteed.
Wow.
Oh, you're doing a 3-year deal. Okay.
Yeah, and
All
the
right.
reason I say that is because I think he wants the security. 2 years, a 2-year deal is generally the way running backs and the way the kind of league is kind of looking at the running back position. 2 years screams to me 1 year and 1 year out, like a void year.
Yeah.
Definitely for a 30-year-old
I-
running back.
Well, right, and that's why I said 2 years, like Eric said. I said 2 years and 27 million, but I said 19 guaranteed.
Right.
Yes.
See, I think if you go 28 guaranteed over a span of 3 years, let me do the math here really quick.
That's nine. That's
That's
9 a year. But
$9.3
you're giving him
million
30 guaranteed.
Right.
That 38, and if you do 37, if you do 37 million over the span of the contract, incentivize him making the roster, playing a certain amount of games, right? A certain
You
amount
could
of
go up to
yards.
45, maybe 40, 42, 43,
Yeah, you
somewhere
kind
around
of
there.
push it up there, right?
Okay.
And now he has a possibility of making that 11 or 12 million dollars. So I mean, again, I think 3 years is a more fair deal, and I think Derrick is looking for that security rather than. And he wants to win too, and it's a win-win deal for both sides, right?
Then don't go to Dallas. I mean, they get 12-5 every year, but
Hey, all right, come on.
I'm just saying, like, think about
Mike,
it.
you 12-5 every year for
if
the
they
last
make
3
the playoffs,
years,
let's say
and
they
you a
make the
first or
playoffs,
second round exit in the playoffs.
We know that Derek.
I'm just being honest. That's not even me trying to be funny. That's being
Eric.
real.
We know that. Here's the difference, Eric. And this is not the crap on y'all move. We know one guy that's in this division is not a playoff performer. The other guy is. Derek is a playoff performer. We've seen it happen over the span of multiple playoff runs. Right. Saquon don't do that.
He had no offensive line. He's been
Saquon and the Pimps.
And him to the AFC Championship
in New York.
He's been the offense for the New York Giants. He got Daniel Jones 4 years, $160 million. Okay.
Yeah, but that's a team-friendly deal. They're out of that after next year.
So,
my point is, Saquon had no protection. He's had to put it on his shoulders. That's why he's been injured.
That's
what he does.
Daniel Jones have to say no protection either, though.
But imagine, I'm just saying this. Imagine, I know Mike is probably going to start salivating, right? Just imagine him being able to take the ball out of Dak Prescott's hands at times and say, A22, here you go. And he 55.
Why do you think I don't want this? Why do you think I don't want this? Because I know with my own two eyes, when the fourth quarter hits, the ball's going to King Henry, and he gets better as the game goes on. Right. I don't want that.
And considering 2 years ago when he got injured, I mean, Cortland and Mike know this. 2 years ago when he got injured, I mean, it was week 8. He had 937 yards, and he was still
top 5 in the NFL.
Yeah, it took the next back. It took the next back like 3.5 weeks to.
He still ended in the top 7.
He's so, like 7th or 8th with 937 yards in 8 games. So
he's going to break the record. But I mean, and I hate to say it, man, but it's kind of following in the same footsteps as a guy who came before him, man. Eddie left Tennessee and went to Dallas, and Eddie didn't look so good in Dallas. But that jersey mock-up, that jersey swap that they had at Derek in the all whites, I was like, ooh, man, he do look good in that. It do fit him. I hate to say it.
Derek Henry's gonna look real. Look, I even said to Eric about the whole thing. Like, Derrick Henry was my number 1, Saquon was my number 2, and I made a joke last week. I said, well, they freed up $13 million if they cut Michael Gallup, and they free up, another $8-9 million. Just go to Derrick Henry and Saquon Barkley and say, guys, dude, Super Bowl, both in stars, which I know would not happen because look, they want to get theirs. But look, for Derrick Henry, I'm with you on that, Cortland. Like, that's the one thing. And like Mike McCarthy, like I think of. Even going back when people said, why would the Packers take Eddie Lacy? And even after his second year, because his first 2 years, but he got a little bit bigger. But dude, I'm not saying he was Jerome Bettis, but he was plowing dudes. It's that power running game, because it's not the first and second quarter. Yes, that matters. It's to Eric, to your point, it's that fourth quarter when you have that bell cow back that you're just like, cool, man. Come on, defensive line. Come on, $100 million guys that I'm just going to lower my shoulder, and you're going to be tired and you're not getting off the field because guess what? We're not subbing. So you're going to go the whole way down the field with that. So, I mean, to Derrick Henry's thing, I guess I didn't. I mean, I see what a 2-year does. I said, 19 at least guaranteed of the 27 because to the point it was a 2-year deal. But, I mean, I could see if it's a 3-year deal, like you said, Cortland, a 3-year deal. And, so 3 years for, say it's $33 million, say it's $11 million, but like 23 is guaranteed, 24 is guaranteed. Cool, man. I think he definitely takes that. So we'll see what happens.
We got about 2 minutes left before we get out of here. But ladies and gentlemen, if you want to hop over to the after party, just make sure you stay tuned to the social media. I got one more guy that I want to talk about really quick, and I want to keep the conversation going. So we're going to come back to this. But Mike, I'm going to give you the floor, Carrot Tenuto, because you asked for this guy right here, Christian Wilkins to the Raiders. Sir, talk to me about this. You got about 90 seconds.
84 million, 85 million guaranteed, over 100 million. Like it's freaking worth it. The Raiders defense now, look, Mahomes is Mahomes, and we know it. And now that Herbert has the quarterback whisperer, not the Madden EA Madden player going for it on every fourth down from the 2-yard line on. This defense is going to be insane. Max Crosby doesn't come off the field. Like, that Raiders defensive line anchored by Crosby got better. You put a guy like Wilkins in the middle, like, come on, man. And if you line them next to each other, like, you're dead. You're done. The Raiders showed you can beat the Chiefs. Like, there's a way to beat the Chiefs. And, yes, it takes effort, and you can say the receivers, but now you got a guy in the middle, that can bang heads with Pacheco. I know I talk about running the ball, and Pacheco's a violent runner. Love the way the kid runs. But man, Miami, look, I get you can't keep everybody, you can't franchise anybody. They want to pay Tua dude, but for the Raiders, man, look, Antonio Pierce, the whole recruiting thing kind of screwed ASU, but man, hats off to Davis and Pierce on this signing, because and our guy John knows that's a big loss, man. That's a big loss.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us here on the NGBN TV network. We are going to sign off here, but don't go anywhere, because keep following us on all our social media. We're going to jump over to that and have the after party. I got some more questions. Mike and Cortland from this tour in the AF South and the halftime show, they're going to stick with us. We will be back. Like I said, give us about 2 minutes. Don't go anywhere. For all of you on NGBN, thank you very much. Everyone stay blessed. Peace.